where best friends and next-door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready, and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Merris.
Hello.
Wow.
Yeah.
We thought we'd be fancy with saying it this time.
That was my Valentine's hello.
Well, it's way past Valentine's Day now.
I forgot.
Anyway, what did you all do for Valentine's Day? Did you eat some surf and turf? Did you eat some ass? You should
I hope you did both.
Yeah, join our Discord and let me know. Anyway, this is Merris Monday.
Hooray.
Hooray! And on Merris Mondays, we like to cover the strange and unusual.
Unusual.
Now, I've always been pretty fascinated with the missing 411 cases. That being said, I don't take them like super serial because David Paulides isn't a good investigator.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a stupid mustache.
Yeah, he was a cop, too. We know how we feel about them.
A-cab. We don't like him. So I wanted to look into some of the more modern missing 411 cases and, like, kind of pick at them. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I think it's always a good idea to shine light on missing persons cases because somewhere, someone could hear me and know something about this case and get it solved.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think I have that much reach, but you never know.
You never know.
Stranger things have happened.
Stranger things.
Thanks, Merris.
I'm just helping.
Yeah, by repeating certain things I say in a weird voice.
Yeah,
it's good. It's good. So this case is real weird. It's very sad. And so we're going to cover it. And if you don't know what missing 411 is, let me give you the skiddly scoop real quick. So David Paulides used to be a cop in California, and he was researching Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And like you do, and some national park rangers like found him in a bar and was like, "You should really research missing people, because they go missing in the woods under weird circumstances." And he did. Thus was born missing 411.
And apparently, like, no one keeps track of missing people, and like, is that truly a thing, or is he making that up?
I think it's truly a thing that there's no database in the national forest to keep track of missing people.
That is a bullshit thing, then.
It is a little fishy. I'm going to say there's some merit to some of his research, but he typically picks cases that are like this one. Which means there's not a lot of public details, and the police fucked it up.
Yeah, and apparently, like, because the thing that struck me, like, what made me interested in David Paulides is that they don't keep track of missing people in national parks, or they keep really shitty track of it, like not...
Or conversely, they keep track of it, but they're not letting the public have any of this information, even with a Freedom of Information Act put up.
And that's strange and bad, so...
You'd think you'd want as much attention on missing persons cases as possible in order to get them solved.
Yeah.
So this is the case of Christopher Thompkins, whose disappearance and the scant few clues he left behind are more than baffling. They're odd and eerie. As always, the goal of sharing these is to get the word out. Because I think part of it, too, is, like, David Paulides, I feel, sometimes forgets that these are people.
Yeah, I know he's out there to make a buck, you know.
Yeah, and I don't like that about him. It's very griftery.
Yeah.
It's predatory. So 20-year-old Christopher Thompkins had just gotten a job with a local surveyor's company in Columbus, Georgia. Now, surveyors, they go out and measure stuff with them little telescope-looking things. Okay. And, they point out where utilities are. That's just their job.
Seems like an easy job.
It's part of civil engineering. So, it does. I don't know that it seems easy because they're, like, out there all day.
Yeah.
And in some pretty shitty kind of conditions.
Okay.
So he was enjoying his work, and he'd gotten the job through his mother, who babysat for his boss. There's very little information about Christopher online that I could find, but I will attempt to piece his life together for y'all. He was born on December 28th, 1981, so just a few years younger than me, to Ann McKenzie. Ann was known to be a doting mother, and it's implied that she raised her son alone. I do not know if he has any siblings. I don't know about his contact with his dad. There's nothing about his personal life online, but he lived with his mother. At the time of his disappearance, Christopher was 5'7" and weighed about 135 pounds. I've seen it online that he was 20 or 21, and I don't want to do the math.
Yeah.
So you can.
Yeah.
January 25th, 2002 started like any other day. Christopher got up and got ready for work and went to kiss his mother goodbye before heading out the door at around 8:15. Christopher arrived at work at the office, left his car there, and rode with a coworker to their job site that day in Ellerslie, Georgia. They were working on County Line Road in Ellerslie, part of Harris County. The four men were working in a line formation. Now, I don't know if this is like vertical or horizontal line, but Christopher was at the end of the line, and each surveyor was about 50 feet away from the next guy.
Okay.
So, and try and picture 50 feet.
Yeah.
It's not that far. Would you say like our deck, like about halfway across the deck is 50 feet?
I guess so. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at foots.
Well, I'm picturing it like it would be about the distance from the edge of our yard to like Willow's front door.
Okay, yeah.
And just jot it down.
Yeah, not far, and they're probably like wearing those like yellow safety thingies, and you know.
They were.
Yeah.
So Christopher and his coworkers all took lunch at the same time, and everyone remained on the site. Like they just ate. They
There.
brought their lunch.
Yeah.
And after eating lunch, the men returned to work, and there is nothing to report about Christopher like getting a phone call. He did not have a cell phone.
Right.
Remember, this is 2002. Not everybody had phones then. I didn't.
Yeah, right.
I didn't have a cell phone until 2013 when Merris made me get one. I was like kind of like just gonna never have one.
Yeah, I was slow on the smartphone boat train too.
Yeah, because I'm
you know?
old. Yeah. And nobody, not including his boss, left the site for lunch. I'm just putting that out there as part of the facts. And here's a little more about the area where the job site was. Ellerslie was, at the time, an unincorporated community. So what is that? It means it doesn't have municipal services, like a fire department.
They didn't
police
have nipple
department.
services, y'all.
They didn't have nipple services, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a town with no governing body.
It's rural Georgia.
And Ellerslie, at the time of this recording, has a population of about 1,100 people. And usually these unincorporated towns, they will rely on nearby towns for things like their post office and their sewer and water and stuff. We lived in an incorporated town. It was incorporated in 2020. However, our little town had municipal services. But most don't.
I'm familiar with this rural bullshit, you know?
Yeah. And so that's kind of the area. I would describe it as hilly, not mountainous. Forested. It is.
Yeah.
It's definitely like rural wilderness. But let me give you an example. Like this is a small. Like you could walk across it, and if you walked for like 15 minutes through the woods, you'd probably come across a house or civilization.
Yeah.
This is not a national forest with like thousands of square miles of densely like rough terrain. It's not like that. These are gently rolling hills, and like there were some swampy, marshy areas.
Yeah.
And some like brush.
Right.
And trees. But I mean, this is just kind of middle of nowhere country. It's not like cliffs and boulder fields and shit like in most missing 411 cases.
Right, okay.
This one's a little different, and I think it barely meets the criteria, but I see why it does, and we'll get to that in just a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 80% white and 10% African American, and I mention this because Christopher is black.
Okay.
Now, in most missing 411 cases, they're mostly white folks.
Yeah.
Usually white men in their 20s of Germanic descent. Now, obviously, Christopher don't meet that. But he was young. He was in his 20s. He was physically fit. That's usually part of it. Because, like the hikers and stuff that go missing. I'm just listing the criteria of missing 411 cases.
Yeah.
Do I think this case is racially motivated, though? Maybe.
Possibly. It's rural Georgia.
Exactly. And it could be the reason his case was so mishandled by local police.
I'm sure that's the reason, yeah.
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 The area he went missing was rural, but it was a small area between 2 state roads. And we're talking like 2,000 feet between the state roads, this wooded patch.
Okay.
It's not like a lot.
Yeah.
Could you get lost? I mean, I guess, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's very similar in looks, like, to where we live. Maybe not quite as hilly, because we're real hilly.
Yeah.
So, like, picture that in your mind as I tell you this story. So, that day, and I looked up the weather for that day, it was chilly, but it wasn't, like, freezing cold. It was around 55 degrees and overcast.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so we'll get into this later about paradoxical undressing, and I really want to talk about that real quick, because this is not a factor in this case.
Okay.
Paradoxical undressing is when someone is in severe state of hypothermia, near death, and all your body heat goes to your core, like to your trunk, your torso, because you want to keep your heart beating so you can keep getting blood to your brain and other vital organs. And so as a result, people can feel really hot when they're actually freezing to death, and they will start taking off their clothes. This is not common at all. This has happened like a handful of times. And 55 degrees, while yes, you can get hypothermia, it's going to be unlikely. He was being physical. He was moving around.
Yeah.
His body temperature was probably fine. He was dressed appropriately. He had on a jacket, long pants, and like a flannel shirt. He wasn't hyperthermic. So we're just going to putting that out there for you to put a pin in it. One of his coworkers was talking to Chris as they worked after lunch. His coworker stated that this conversation took place approximately between 1 and 1:30 p.m. At one point, the coworker talking to Christopher, he looked away to like complete a task, like do something job related, and he would have guessed it was no more than like 10-15 seconds.
Yeah.
And when he looked, well, first he didn't look. He then asked, like, as he was looking down, like rummaging around in his tools or whatever, he hollered out to Chris like a question. And Chris didn't answer.
Yeah.
And when he looked up, he was gone. At first, the coworker thought maybe he stepped into the trees to use the bathroom. He called a few more times, got no response, and he let the other workers know, and together they walked down to where Christopher had been just literally 1 minute before. It's important to note that no one heard anything. Not a yelp, not a scream, not the sound of Christopher running away. The two men were about, like, a little less than 50 feet away, and they were having a conversation. Christopher was just gone. Had he been attacked by a person or animal, his coworkers would have definitely heard and saw something. It would have been, and this would be the last time anyone ever sees Christopher again.
Yeah.
Christopher's coworkers called out to him. No answer. They searched the area he'd been standing and saw nothing. Then they went to the tree line and looked around, thinking maybe he'd fallen or stepped away to be sick. But when they went to investigate, they found not a single trace of him. After not being able to find him, they called 911 to report him missing, but the police advised they couldn't investigate until after the 24-hour time period had passed. Now, I didn't look this up, but a lot of states have since gotten rid of that rule because 24 hours is a crucial period to find a missing person, regardless of whether they went missing of their own volition or not. And, you know, me and Willow always say, just look for them anyway like it's your job, because it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you find somebody who goes missing on purpose, you could at least report back to the family, hey, they don't want to be found or contacted by you. They're fine. Because all this time wasted, yeah, adults can legally go missing. But when it's out of character for them to do so, I think police should take it a little more seriously.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they didn't take it seriously. So, after they phoned the police, Christopher's mother was not notified that Christopher was missing until 4:15 p.m.
Yeah.
When someone from his work notified her, because the police are useless.
Yep.
So what happened between the hours of 1:30 and 4:15 p.m.? She questioned why it took so long for someone to let her know what was going on, and that's a good question. Some people suggest they didn't want to alarm his mother in case he just wandered off or fucked off from work. Others say because they didn't actually call police until around 4 p.m. Why would they wait regardless? And we just don't know because, again, the police have declined to make many details of this case public record, probably to cover up their fumbling of it. And, you know, we can't really speculate. We don't know what time they called the police. What we do know, though, is that Christopher's boss, Gary White, told his wife at 1:30 p.m. that Christopher was missing. But he didn't tell his mother. It's very strange. Very strange to me. Suspicious even.
I mean, I can see it happening. Like, you know, everyone at work is all like, "Ooh," you know.
Where is he? Where is he? And you mention it to your wife.
Yeah, because, like, you're just stressed out and
It's kind of freaked out. Maybe you think, hey, honey, what should I do? Maybe he just wandered
Right.
off. Should I call police?
I can see you just human happening, you know?
Yeah, I do think it's a little shitty they waited that long, but maybe they thought, hey, well, since the police aren't helping right now, let's look around real good first before we call her.
Yes.
I can see that too. Chris's family didn't want to wait the required 24 hours to just wait for police to do all of the nothing
Right.
they did.
Yeah,
they wanted answers right then.
Right.
And of course, I think that's normal and I don't blame them. So his family, including his mother, went to where he vanished. Now, I say where he vanished. They went to the job site. They actually didn't know where he'd been standing.
Mm-hmm.
And they searched for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
And this is where things get really weird. And Chris's mother was told by his coworkers that they'd spent a few hours looking for Chris.
Mm-hmm.
They claimed they found absolutely nothing, not a trace of him. But Chris's family looked for several hours and found one of his work boots hanging on a barbed wire fence. They found 12 cents in change laying on the ground by the fence and a piece of blue fiber stuck in the fence.
Okay.
The blue fiber looked to be from either Chris's shirt, which was kind of a dark blue, or his dark blue Dickies he was wearing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about work boots for just a minute. He was wearing some FUBU, for us, by us, work boots in kind of the Timberland style with steel toes that lace up and go slightly above the ankle.
Okay.
If you all have never worn steel-toed work boots like this, even if you left them unlaced, them shits are hard to get off.
Yeah.
And it's because they're not very flexible because of the steel toe.
Uh-huh.
You have to really yank them the fuck off. Like, you got to sit down and tug this shit off your foot.
Yeah.
I know, I wore some. I did factory work once for like a day. It was horrible. If he were like running, even if there was mud, and I'm talking deep mud, that boot ain't coming off.
Mm-hmm.
He would have to have been kicking violently or someone pulled it off. So I'm just leaving that there. Chris's family also found his tools abandoned by the fence. It was clear he'd gone over the fence,
Okay.
either by his own volition or not. His family believed and still do that Chris was taken against his will and that his coworkers know more than they're telling. Don't know. There's not much information online about Christopher's case as far as the police investigation goes, but we do know for a fact that they brought in bloodhounds the next day to search the site where he went missing, and the dogs could never pick up a scent. And that's another hallmark of a missing 411 case.
Even though his shit was there, they couldn't pick up the scent?
No.
What the fuck? These dogs suck.
No, it's just a weird case. There was no sign of a struggle at all, like no broken branches.
Well, since there was a fence, like, who's the owner of that property? Do we know?
Yeah, but I mean, this is not in the police report.
I find that suspicious.
Oh, yeah. There was no blood. There was no hair. Just that one lone fiber from his pants, one boot, 12 cents, and his tools. That's it.
I just feel like if there's a fence, there's, like, an owner, and I feel like...
Yeah, but this is, like, farmland. The
yeah,
house
but
was pretty
if
far
someone
away.
go missing on your property...
Well, we'll get to all of that in a minute.
Okay.
Chris's boss, Gary White, did say Chris had been acting strange for several days. Either he didn't elaborate or they did not, they're not sharing that information and it hasn't been released to the public. We don't know what exactly he means by that. And Chris's mother refutes this by saying that Chris had been acting totally normal the day he went missing and the days leading up to his disappearance.
Okay.
And also said it was ridiculous to think that Chris removed his boots himself. It was wet in the area and chilly outside. She said if he were in his right mind, he wouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
Some have theorized that Christopher walked away to start a new life, but his social security number has never been used. He never picked up his car, and his keys were never found.
No, this dude's dead, I'm sure.
Oh, yes, I agree. In addition, months later, in May of 2002, about a mile from the job site where he disappeared, someone found his other boot.
Dang.
And it was on a farmer's property. No blood or anything on it. But who gonna... Well, we'll get to that in a minute. If Chris, of his own volition, walked away from that job site, why did he first remove one boot? Excuse me. Leave his pocket change on the ground, climb over a barbed wire fence, walk a mile with only one boot, and then take that off, the other boot off too, and just vanish off the face of the earth.
No, someone could have yeeted it. That's what I'm thinking.
Not a mile away. They'd have to walk out there and yeet it.
Or drive, you know.
No, this was like on... Okay, so I'm going to explain this. So,
all right.
Picture, you will, there's a state road.
Uh-huh.
There's an embankment with a bunch of grass that leads to a tree line that's pretty heavily wooded.
Yeah.
About 100 feet off into that tree line is this barbed wire fence.
Mm-hmm.
It leads to just fields
Yeah.
and more woodland areas, kind of a marshy, swampy area. And his boot was found on a farm by the farmer who lived there.
Okay.
So it's not like they drove there. They couldn't. There was no road accessing where it was found. That someone would have had to literally purposefully walked and yeeted that boot.
Well, obviously the answer is aliens.
Well, a lot of people have theorized that, but I'm not going there.
Oh.
I don't know what happened to this dude. It's so fucking weird.
Could be the big feet.
It's just weird. Okay. I don't know. So the police investigation concluded that Christopher went missing of his own accord.
Okay.
Which makes zero fucking sense.
Great job, detective.
Protests at the sheriff's office started later that year, demanding that Harris County Sheriff do something, anything. The protesters felt they didn't care about Chris's case, and I agree with them. The protesters also said it was racially motivated. Whether that's true or not, they should have done something other than just shrugging and going, I don't know. Later in the press, the sheriff would try to pin the blame on Chris going missing on the victim himself. He said that Ann told police that Chris had used drugs like a couple weeks prior to him going missing. Y'all, I used drugs today. And that edible would have nothing to do with me going missing if I turn up missing, I can assure you.
It's like they find a victim and he's got like bullet wounds in the back of his head. They're like, this is obviously a suicide and he did it to himself.
Oh, I love the ones that are clearly like KGB killings, and it's like 2 in the chest, 2 in the back of the head, a bag around your head, and you're wearing like ladies' underpants.
It was a suicide, Your Honor.
Yeah, sure. So the drug thing is stupid, and Chris wasn't a drug user. He just likes smoking weed sometimes.
Yeah.
Same.
That doesn't mean you like yeet your boots off the fence and, you know.
It's just stupid. And let's just say he did have addiction issues, okay? Let's say that he clearly
You still
was
have
struggling.
to do your job.
People with addiction issues deserve to be found. Okay? Like, I don't know how much more clear we can make that. Yeah. Now, Anne believes her son is dead. She says he would have never gone missing and not contacted her. They were very close. She said he was a sweet kid, that he had just become a born-again Christian. He'd just gotten this job, and he was really happy he was getting his life on track. Mm-hmm. He was only 21 years old.
Yeah.
He had a nice car. He had a lot going for him. There's no reason for him to run off. And I know some people have theorized he got into, like, some drug debt and maybe, like, ran away.
No, you'd still find him.
You could still find him. He'd still contact his mom.
And he would use his bank accounts. It's obvious he's dead, and these ossifers need to get off their ass.
Yeah. Chris, in my opinion, was taken. By who or what, we don't know.
I'm also suspicious of who his coworkers.
I'm very suspicious of his coworkers. Not all of them, but we'll talk about that in a second. So why is this considered a missing 411 case? Let's go with the skeptical route first, because there aren't a lot of details here, and the shoes are weird.
Yeah.
That's it.
But that's not much to go on.
It's not much to go on, and this is why I really fucking hate David Paulides.
Right.
He could focus on the cases that are truly bizarre.
Like, this is probably murder.
I feel this is murder.
Yeah.
Do I think what kind of murder? I don't know. I wouldn't be. Do we don't even know like the details enough to know if Chris even made it into work that day, or if the coworker driving him, they got in an altercation and he killed him before coming to work.
Or maybe his coworkers are a bunch of racists and they like took
Got
him
in a
out.
fight.
Yeah.
They got in a fight, and maybe a couple of guys jumped him, and just said he went missing. But here's why I am dubious of the coworkers thing. If coworkers were going to do it, they wouldn't leave his boot right there.
His coworkers may be stupid. I'm suspicious of the coworkers for the one reason that, like, they haven't said anything. Like, there's no information on them. Like, it's too hush-hush.
Well, that's partly, I think it might be partly the police's fault on that one.
Yeah.
Because it is an ongoing and active investigation, freedom of information requests into this case have been denied. The co-workers' names have never been revealed except for Gary White, because Anne outed him because she knows him because she was his babysitter.
Yeah, it's super suspicious.
But do I think they had anything to do with it? I think that's possible. Do I think it's likely? I mean, maybe. I just don't know because we don't have enough information to really even speculate.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that there being no blood at the site at all doesn't lend itself very well to the theory he was killed there. It's hard enough to get blood out of a house that you've killed somebody in.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. It would be impossible in the wilderness.
Since his boots were so far apart, like, I assume that whatever happened didn't happen there. Like, they everything is scattered around.
Sort of. I feel like the fiber in the fence, to me, indicates he went over the fence.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, was he alive when he went over the fence? I don't know, because there was no blood on the barbed wire.
Okay.
So it just snagged his pants.
Yeah.
But why the boot? That's the one that gets me. The change in the boot. The change implies he was laying there.
Uh-huh.
And after a tussle.
Or the change came out of your pocket when you were going over the fence.
That's entirely possible. It was kind of in a neat little pile.
Oh.
It wasn't like scattered all around. It was in a pile.
Well, that I don't know. That's my thought.
But it was only 12 cents. So it couldn't have been that many coins. You know?
I'm just saying it fell out when he was going over.
That's entirely possible. So it's possible his boot fell off, though I doubt it. Like I said, those boots are really hard to get off. And that he was running for his life. Something spooked him, a fight with a coworker, and he thought they were going to kill him. And then something happened to him like an accident.
Yeah.
As for the boot, I mean, there was no human decomposition in that boot.
And also, the surveyors, maybe they knew the terrain really well to, like, kill him in a weird spot or hide evidence. I'm just saying them coworkers.
I do agree that it's suspicious, but given they have all been ruled out. I mean, but the police are suspicious also because they did a shitty fucking job.
Yeah.
So here are the supernatural reasons or the woo-woo reasons.
There better be some big feet.
It's not. Like, I'm just saying why this is a missing 411 case. So frequently in missing 411 cases, shoes will be found neatly laid somewhere or one shoe, whereas the other shoe will be found many months later, even years later, in pretty good condition. That was the case with Christopher's shoe. It looked like he'd just taken it off, even though it had been out there for months.
Okay, yeah.
That is unusual.
All right, so weird shoes.
Yeah. Let's see what the other hallmarks of it is. Rural area.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it for this one. Also, the whole vanishing and, like, as soon as someone turns their back. Because that has been, in some of the more compelling missing 411 cases, you'll have somebody literally was standing there talking to someone, turned around and turned back and they're gone.
Yet again, the Detective Merris says that this is maybe coworkers because the vanishing without a trace came from the coworker. Like, they were the last one to see him.
I agree. However, it should be noted, this is 5 individuals. And I'm going to tell you, if it had been a murder by 1 or 2 of them, ain't all 5 going to keep quiet.
Okay.
Not forever.
All right.
Not forever. I'm telling you, multiple people makes a murder more complicated, and I don't think all 5 of them, like, he was a family friend of the boss.
Yeah, I'm just real suspicious of him.
I think he told his wife because he was worried about him.
Yeah, I agree that I can't really, like, say that is a suspicious or wrong thing to do. Because, like, I know if I was at work and a dude went missing, I would tell you. I'd be like, oh, my God, you know what happened at work?
You would immediately
yeah,
tell
I
me
would,
it's
I
the
would.
first thing you would do.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, husband and wives that are, like, solid and get along really good. We are best buds and we love gossiping.
I would tell you on my lunch break that if a dude went missing, I would.
Like if you tell me something and say, Lillian, keep this a secret, please know Merris will also know within 30 seconds.
I already know immediately.
We have telepathically transmitted the message.
Yeah.
And yes, we are talking shit.
All
and it's
the time.
about you.
Yes, right now. I'm doing it right now.
Do we know you? We've talked shit about you
Yeah.
because we're awful. But only to each other. So, I mean, your secret's safe with us. But I think that he did call his wife, like immediately, when he knew that Chris was missing. Mm-hmm. I don't think they did it. I think actually that phone call's more exonerating than anything else. I don't think he wanted to worry his mama. I thought he wanted to find him.
Yeah, I would if I was the boss.
I do believe they looked. Another thing that's strange is even though they looked, they didn't find his boot or his tools or that change. Even though they were in the area.
Oh, the
coworkers didn't find
coworkers
anything.
did it, but the family found it later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is strange. I agree.
Like it had been placed there. Like it's even been said that one of the coworkers.
And back to my previous point, the surveyors would be the best. They would know the area the best, like the terrain, right?
Why would they leave that stuff out that would have evidence on it, where the police will clearly find it? Also, people who murder don't call the police like that. It just seems like, I don't think it was the coworker.
I guess you could just ruin my theory.
I have to ruin it because it's full of holes. I don't know what happened to this dude. No. People have said sinkholes. I hate that that's brought up.
We also know for a fact that the police have missing information.
The police have information we do not, and they fucked this case because he was a black man.
To guess, because we would need more information.
But if you do have information, please report it. You can do so anonymously. You can call the FBI because don't fuck around with Georgia cops. Don't fuck around with no cop in the South.
Yeah.
I mean, anywhere, but you have a better chance in the North or on the coasts. Yeah. You don't got no chance here. So here are some theories.
Oh, aliens, right?
I'm not getting into that.
Oh.
Chris stepped into the tree line and went to the bathroom, and an animal got him.
There would be like sounds. There would be blood.
That's not a good theory.
He would be like, help a bear.
Theory is dumb.
Yeah.
Chris saw something that scared him and made him run. He got lost and succumbed to the elements.
Well, again, it's rural, but not that rural. You have to be a moron.
That's
to,
what I said.
Get
like
lost.
It's like here. Like one look, you'd think, "Oh, I would get lost." You walk for like 10 minutes and you found another house.
Here's another completely far-fetched idea.
Let's hear it.
Something like that happened. There was a bear, so he ran out into the road, and then some serial killer picked him up on the road.
Yeah, no, I'm not buying that.
No, that's too stupid.
I mean, he could have gotten spooked. He could have gotten mad. And like, fuck this, and like ran off and just dropped his tools and his change went with it. And he like stumbled upon somebody's property and they thought, a black man on my property, you're trespassing, and they shot him.
That to me seems really plausible.
I do think that's plausible. And they could have dumped his body and a dog could have gotten a hold of his boot and drug it away.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. That's
or
plausible.
coyote or something.
Because to me, the fence seems so like
purposeful.
Yeah.
But if he was real scared, or had gotten in a fight with somebody and wanted to run off, he wouldn't be concerned about his. I would jump a barbed wire fence if I was scared.
I've been up like not a bit. I'm like the barbed wire fence expert, but they're like no joke. They do fucking hurt.
They do fucking hurt.
Yeah.
You need a tetanus shot. How do I know? I've been cow tipping. Fuck off.
Wow.
Like you can't live in the South without doing it. I
have not done that, and I think that's mean.
Look, we were looking for psilocybin, magic mushrooms, and cow patties, you know.
And then you decided to knock over some cows. And
I just didn't think it was a thing, and it is, and I felt terrible.
It's not good for the cows.
Well, no, but I thought it was bullshit. I thought I could push this cow, and it's just going to snort at me.
No, they're like 400 pounds or something.
No, it fell the fuck over.
That's terrible.
I felt so bad. I petted it. It weren't mad at me.
I would have been mad.
It was confused. I was like, I'm sorry.
Anyway, back to missing 411s.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm just going to say, I hate saying it because it seems the most, like, reasonable answer. I just don't think the coworkers did it on this one. There's too many moving parts for them not to have fucked up in such a way that somebody wouldn't have come forward.
Well, I guess old man McGregor with his shotgun.
That's, I think, the most plausible theory. Or he succumbed to the elements because he was too freaked out and just
Freaked out by fucking what?
Well, that we'll never know. Because I think another possibility is he had a mental breakdown, a psychotic break. Because a lot of the cases I've covered, like Maura Murray and, what was that guy's name? Lars Matank. Is that Lars Matank clearly had a psychological breakdown and ran the fuck away. And maybe his boss was right. He was acting a little weird at work. And that would explain, like, him running off for no reason because he freaked out. Maybe he had a hallucination or a really bad intrusive thought. Psychotic breakdowns are not pleasant. I have had one. I was not in my right mind.
Well, we'll never fucking know.
No, we won't, and I doubt this case will ever be solved or he will ever be found, but I do not think this is supernaturally motivated. So this little series where I pick a missing 411 case is just to talk about whether I think supernatural possibilities exist or not, or if David Paulides is being a gross grifter on this one.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I believe this has a real-world explanation, even though it is strange.
Yeah.
But stranger things have happened.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you agree with me on this one?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I go into these cases with no opinion.
And like I also put an asterisk that is we need more information.
Yeah, I think David Paulides picks a lot of cases that don't have a lot of public information, and then you can draw whatever narrative you want to fill in the blanks. And I think Bigfoot or aliens is insulting in this case and not plausible.
I think that the cops need to say what happened.
I think we need to say what the real problem is, and it is the sheriff's department in Harris County, Georgia.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
Do your job.
Do it.
Or eat shit.
Or eat all the shit.
Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's time for business time.
Business time.
Which is much better than the Harris County Sheriff's Department in Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a teabag in Georgia. Hello, Alicia.
Hello, Teabag.
You call her Alicia. Don't call her
Alicia
Teabag.
Teabag. That's her last name.
For the love of God. Anyway, sorry to shit on Georgia. I wasn't shitting on Georgia, just the police.
Just that cop, yeah.
And I think she'd agree with me.
Yeah.
Join our Patreon because it's cool. And you can, there's like 72 long form episodes that you haven't heard. And at this point, there may be more, but that's the last time I counted.
Right.
That's a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
And many of them are very long because we like to go the extra mile for Patreon.
Right.
We also have like lower tiers. So just check it out. It's good to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm good at commercials today. In addition, buy our merch. Get yourself a hoodie. It's still cold outside, and it will be for a while.
Yeah.
And them hoodies is warm, and they look cool.
Get a hoodie.
Get a mug.
Get it.
Get a sticker. Get a tote.
Get it now. I'm a commercial.
Yeah. And hey, if you've been on the fence about joining our Discord, would you stop it?
Get off the fence.
Get off of the fence.
Especially if there's like spooky boots.
Stop it. You stop.
Oh.
This is why he can't host
I host my own pod. It's called Reality with me, Merris.
Talk about it.
Oh, well, it's me just making jokes and not talking right, and that's about it.
No, seriously, check out the podcast. It is very funny. Even if you don't like reality TV, we paint a word picture for you.
You should listen to it anyway, even if you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, because neither do I.
That's true.
Yeah.
But Merris does all the research for this, and I just sit around and be a wisecracking fool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very fun. So join us on that podcast as well. And guess what, tea bags?
Yeah.
Me and Merris are going to put Merris Mondays on YouTube really soon.
Well, we're working on it.
We are currently working on it.
Everything I do goes wrong, so that's what's taking.
We are having some technical difficulties. We're also 400 years old, so cut us some slack.
Yeah,
we're in our 40s. This is hard.
Every technological problem went wrong that
TikTok
could go wrong.
Scares me.
Yeah.
If any of you out there are good at editing videos and good at TikTok or Reels, can you please email me and help me? I'm not as good at these things. And I would like some assistance. I'm not asking you to do it unless you want to like super fan out and do it. I mean, I'm not going to say no. But hey, help me out.
Help.
Hamburger, help me.
Help.
You can see my head on YouTube if you do.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting?
Right.
No, but seriously, please help me.
Help.
Yeah. I can't pay money right now, but I could send you art and soap.
Yeah.
So there. That's cool.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, if all you can do to support this podcast is listen, thank you very much. This is all for you.
Yeah.
And I love you. I'll make it weird.
Yeah.
If you are listening to this on YouTube and you're going, I don't see your head, well, that's because I just said I'm struggling.
We're struggling.
But you can listen to it on YouTube. And if you are, the best way you can help this channel is to hit the little thumbs up button, the like button, subscribe, leave a nice comment about how nice and pretty I am.
5 stars.
That's not how that works.
I don't know.
And then hit the notification bell so that every time we release some nonsense, your phone will tell you.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I got, y'all. Thank you for sticking around for 3 years and listening to our bullshit.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.